Embrace calm, connect deeply, and navigate stress for thriving relationships with empowered communication.
And maintaining relationships. And these relationships are not just with our family, it could be with colleagues, it could be with friends. And so it's important to learn how to communicate effectively. I know that when I was in my highest stress levels, the first thing that typically happened when I would come home from work and someone would ask me what was for dinner, I would be like, I don't know. Why are you guys always asking me questions? Or if something minor would happen, I would immediately start yelling about it. And that was not effective for me. And it wasn't a way that I was connecting with my loved ones. My loved ones were, you know, on edge as well. They didn't know if I was, you know, going to yell if they asked me a question. And so it became important for me to learn how to manage that stress differently. And that is, again, why I've started the Thrive Beyond Anxiety program. I want women to be able to model to their loved ones how to manage stress, but then also have that connection. So let's go ahead and dive into today's training. So let's start with the key reasons why communication is essential in relationships. Communication is the primary means by which individuals connect. By sharing thoughts, feelings, and experiences, we strengthen the bond with another individual. Honest communication fosters trust within a relationship. Conflict is a natural part of any relationship, but effective communication is essential for resolving conflicts. Because if we don't resolve the conflict effectively with effective communication, then that argument cycle will continue. And then that will increase your stress or anxiety. And if it's not stress, then maybe it's irritability. And then that irritability will also impact your stress. By openly discussing concerns, actively listening to each other, and seeking compromise strengthens the relationship. Communication allows individuals to express their needs and desires and expectations within the relationship. Meaningful communication promotes emotional intimacy between partners. Effective communication involves listening with empathy, respecting each other's perspectives, and reframing from judgment or criticism. Communication skills are necessary to navigate challenges and solving problems. It helps us work through challenges. Basically, communication is the cornerstone of a healthy relationship, and it provides the framework for connection, trust, understanding, and growth. If a healthy relationship, stress and anxiety have a huge impact on communication, often leading to challenges and breakdowns. It's important for you to see how stress and anxiety affect your communication. Stress and anxiety can affect communication in several ways. One, when you are stressed, you may struggle to articulate your thoughts and feelings clearly. Your mind may feel cluttered or overwhelmed, making it difficult to express yourself clearly. We've talked about, our overthinking and how overthinking can, basically it's all that noise, all that chatter that's going on. And so, when we're stressed and when we're overthinking, we have a increased chances of not being able to communicate effectively because we have so much going on that it's hard to articulate what is really going on. Stress and anxiety heighten your emotional reactivity. And so when we are emotionally reactive, it leads us to react impulsively or more defensively during conversations. and we may become easily triggered or sensitive to perceived criticism, leading to conflict and misunderstandings. So when we are trying to communicate and it's not coming out articulate, we're not being very articulate, someone that we're communicating to may be acting like they're confused or don't understand, and then that is increasing our stress. And then we might be acting more impulsively. That is what it wasn't that my loved ones were confused about how I was communicating, but because of my stress and anxiety, especially my stress from work, when I was coming home, already the day had been very stressful. And then I may have to run 1,000 different places in the evening for kids' activities. And then I was easily triggered by a simple question. And so I would react more impulsively by yelling. And so that was affecting our relationships. When we're feeling stressed or anxious, we may avoid communication altogether. We may retreat into ourselves, which means we could be just avoiding. We could be just, and that could be endlessly scrolling on our phones. It could be that we avoid our family members and maybe retreat to our rooms. Or we just don't acknowledge really anybody, and maybe we just sit in silence or kind of watch something on TV but don't engage in conversations. So we retreat more into ourselves. We shut down emotionally, and we avoid any kind of difficult conversation or topic. Stress and anxiety can interfere with your ability to accurately interpret the verbal and nonverbal cues from other people. We may feel that they are, maybe being more standoffish because the way they are standing, and then that, because that when we're already stressed and anxious, we're not really in tune to other people's feelings, and we misinterpret what they are saying, or even their nonverbal cues with their, the way they're standing or sitting. And then that can lead to misunderstandings. When we're preoccupied with our own stressors or worries, we have more difficult time listening, and we become so focused on our own internal thoughts that we're not focused on what others are saying. So we're not being an active listener. Stress and anxiety can create more conflicts, since when we're stressed or anxious, we might be more prone to anger or defensiveness. And then when we come off that way, then someone else will respond that way to us. And again, that will do this argument cycle. And then the argument cycle will increase your stress and anxiety as well. Stress and anxiety can diminish your empathy and compassion towards others, making it more difficult to be in tune to what others' needs and feelings are. Some people may avoid talking about the stress and anxiety, fearing that they're going to be judged or rejected, and that this will also interferes with being connected or having that intimate relationship. So as we've been talking, through all these trainings, we really do see that stress and anxiety can impact so many areas of our life. And when like overthinking or this communication that we're talking about today, stress and anxiety will, increase or decrease our abilities to handle things. And then those things, so the overthinking, when we overthink more, it increases our stress. If we're not communicating effectively, it can also increase our stress, because then now we're arguing with others, or we feel guilty because we're not connecting with them, or we're not, responding appropriately. And so learning really, truly how to manage our stress and anxiety will benefit you so much. That's why I feel it's so important to address how to decrease our stress and anxiety and increase, our emotional resilience, our growth, have a growth mindset, and then improve all these other areas of our life. So now we're going to go ahead and dive into the different communication styles, because there are different communication styles. A passive communication is often that we stuff our feelings instead of expressing them. This communication style starts usually because of fear. Maybe we're afraid that we're going to hurt the other person's feelings. So we don't say anything. We just kind of stuff what we're feeling. But this often results in others hurting you or violating your rights. This also shows a lack of respect for your own needs over time. And this will have a negative impact on you and your relationship. Because you'll start to feel resentment because your needs are not getting met. If you're an aggressive communicator, you express yourself in a dominating and controlling way. You might yell, swear, throw things, threaten, and so on. You only think about how you will get your own needs met, regardless of how it affects others. This style of communication also comes in at an expense to you as well, since you usually feel guilty or ashamed the way you behaved. Being aggressive may take a chance in losing a relationship that is important to you. If you're passive aggressive, you usually don't express yourself directly. You express yourself in a subtle way that may use sarcasm, or you give others the silent treatment. You slam doors, you leave a room very aggressively, like slamming doors, stomping feet. You'll leave before the conversation is over. Using this form of communication, you get your point across without words. You tend to be indirect and unclear with your message. You say one thing, but then act a different way. So for example, you say it doesn't matter where you go for dinner, but then you stay quiet the entire meal because the rest of the night, because it wasn't the place that you really wanted to go to, but you never expressed where you wanted to go. Being assertive is the healthiest way to communicate. When you are assertive, you express your thoughts and feelings and opinions in a clear, honest, and appropriate way. You're respectful to the other person and yourself. Assertiveness also means you are listening and negotiating so that others can choose to cooperate willingly with you. Because this kind of interaction, you're both getting something out of it. When we're assertive with others, they feel respected and valued, and they respond to you the same way. So, what are some steps to be more assertive? And what does it look like? So, being assertive means knowing what you exactly want in a situation. It means about asking someone for something. It can also be about saying no to someone else's request. And that saying no, and I talk about this in the Thrive Beyond Anxiety, part of self-care is saying no and then not feeling guilty that we said no. Once you've decided on how you like the outcome to be, clearly, honestly, and specifically say what it is that you want to say. For example, if you're feeling angry about something someone did tell you, or that the other person specifically what they did and how you feel about it, you always want to state your own feelings first. So if someone said something to you that you were hurt by, you say, I feel hurt when you said whatever, X, Y, Z, rather than when you said X, Y, and Z, I was hurt. This may not seem like there's a big difference, but the first way is I feel when you said is taking responsibility for your own emotions, while the second seems to blame the other person for how you feel. When communicating assertively, we stay calm and emotionally regulated, we set clear boundaries, and we maintain eye contact. Remember that being assertive is not just about you getting your needs met. It's also about you trying to meet the needs of others, so you both walk away feeling happy. In order to do this, it's important that you know what to do when the and what you know. So it's important that you know what the other person also wants from this interaction. So this means paying attention to what they're saying. So making sure that we are not interrupting them. We're making sure that we're not distracted by, our phones or other things when they're communicating. We're listening mindfully. And again, it's with full attention. And then also, that also means when we're paying attention to them full attentionally and mindfully, we are not even being distracted by our own thoughts. Sometimes when people talk to us and we are overthinking or consumed with our own thoughts, then we're not really hearing what they're saying. Talk to the other person the way that you would like to be spoken to. Don't blame, don't judge, just stick to the facts and how you feel about a situation. Use validation. Reflect back to the other person on what they said. And then that way they know you're listening and that you are understanding what they're saying. This lets the other person know that what they're talking about is important and that you care about what they are saying. You may not agree with it, but at least you are hearing them and you're letting them know you are heard with this validation. When you're asserting yourself, it's important to know that your values and your morals are, and you stick to them. If someone asks you to do something that goes against your morals, you won't feel good about yourself if you agree to the request. When we are also assertive, we don't overdo the sorries. We often feel the urge to apologize for things that are actually not our fault. Saying you're sorry means you're taking responsibility for something that you're taking the blame for. And this will make you feel like you are in the wrong, and it will indicate that to others if you say you're sorry. So when you say you're sorry, you truly have something to apologize for. And along with being assertive, it's very important that if stress is one of the things that is getting in the way of being effectively communicating, we need to learn ways to manage our stress. And that is a totally different training because in my Thrive Beyond Anxiety, I have over 20 strategies to manage stress. And that would not be able to be done today for this purpose of this training. But it's important that you know that managing your stress is the important piece to this puzzle as well. Because like I said, if you are stressed, you may not communicate effectively. But so I'm giving you the skills to learn how to be more assertive. So even if you are stressed, acknowledge that. Be mindful of how you are feeling when you are entering a conversation. And when we are more mindful of what we're feeling in that moment, then we don't bring the feelings and thoughts from this previous conversation that you may have had with this person that you're trying to communicate now. You are focused on this moment. And also when we are trying to, when we want to communicate effectively and break that argument cycle, that's another big piece to this, is being mindful of that this moment, that we're not bringing in all of the past times that you've had to communicate to this person about something. And the other thing that I go over in Thrive Beyond Anxiety is problem solving. And problem solving is another big piece to communicating effectively. But meanwhile, practice being assertive. Express yourself with I feel or I need. Be an active listener. Put your phones away. Put the thoughts away from the early.
Empower your relationships. Communicate boldly. Thrive beyond stress.